and maybe there's a specific skill that they want to get to, but it's an advanced skill. But they're probably never going to get to that advanced skill unless they take care of that issue. And I guess the analogy that I always use is like, and I'm not in construction, but like building a house. So if you know you have a faulty foundation and it needs to be repaired, why would you build a second story on top of the house you already have, right? It's like, let's go back, let's do it correctly, let's identify really what is limiting you, build that up, and then we move on to the next layers.
Right.
The Boom Show is produced by the team at Burg CrossFit. So please don't sue us. All of the recordings and materials in this podcast are for educational purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Let's just get smarter and sweat together. Cool? All right, let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Boom Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're recording this slightly intra-COVID, but slightly post-COVID. Florida gyms have just opened. Sunday.
What day is it?
I don't even know. Ames Fit is here.
What up?
Jason Duddle is here. And I am here.
The Holy Trinity.
Tony Corona is here. So
The whole celery.
yeah, we're gonna get right into it for everybody. This is directly about kind of a little bit of the history of Burg, who we are, what we've become, how we've gotten there, and where we're going. And we've got some things we want to express to everybody, active members and new members, about how this looks as a fitness model. So we've kind of, to jump right into it, we've started out as a traditional CrossFit gym, just running classes, people coming in and coming out, doing their thing, going through the grind, kind of drinking the Kool-Aid. And as we've developed, it's like, all right, well, this is not working very well. This is working. Trying to figure out the loopholes, trying to build on that delivery for members and for, selfishly for myself, trying to be a better physically healthy person. And that's continued through the last 6.5 years of us being operable as a CrossFit gym. Part of that
Can you describe working and not working though for the members, because they're not going to understand what the difference between those two are?
Yeah. So, one comes down to the simplicity factor of programming, like understanding it and understanding the basics of programming. One being how do you fit X amount of programming within an hour successfully? And then also delivering that programming in 3 different forms, potentially 4 different forms, from a first time beginner's standard to a kind of a middle grounds, to a competitive athlete, to a more competitive athlete, I guess. And it doesn't have to be that category of description, but kind of in that area, it fits everyone's specific needs to their goals, right? So that's the objective with how that programming kind of looks. And then also transitioning from programming, class sizes, coaches to member ratios, just that sort of operation. And how do we deliver CrossFit as efficiently and effectively as possible? Just CrossFit, right? And our mission has changed, and Amy the poet will tell us our mission.
Well, it's like you can't just say it without giving the reason why, because it sounds
Go ahead.
super deep. So what was our mission before, Tony?
So we didn't have a clear mission. I'll put it that way. We didn't have a clear mission, and so I battled with this as a gym owner, kind of with our team of like, what is our true mission? It was just to build healthy individuals and to affect 1 million people through health and fitness. Sounds crazy and audacious, which mission statements are supposed to be, but it wasn't dialing into what we really were doing. It wasn't about getting 1 million people. It was about helping the specific people, and the specific people that had goals to live a healthier lifestyle, to live to our core values of being humble, unified, relentless, and showing gratitude, and doing that through a day-to-day operation, not just in the gym. So that's
right.
and I call Amy the poet because she's the one that kind of like laid it out in the best fashion. And it's to live the life that you never knew existed. And that,
Oh.
and so you'll be hearing that a lot, you guys, but I think it really dials in what we're about, is to basically give people the ability to be better human beings, again, in and out of the gym, physically, mentally, and just by having physical health and mental health stronger or in a better scenario than you had before, it opens up every road possible. Your work life, your personal life, your whatever. I mean, your family life. It changes you in a ripple effect. So that's kind of what we're looking at for where we are and what we've transitioned into. We've kind of defined this stuff a lot more.
Yeah. So I think the transition that we've been going through as a gym, as a company, as a business, is better reflected in that new mission statement. Whereas the one prior to really didn't hone in on the effectiveness. So it was more or less like, we want to impact
Right.
people's lives.
Like number.
Yeah, it seemed a little more about quantity opposed to quality. Not that was the mission statement internally, but just when you hear that,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, wow, that's a big number. And, how are you going to go about doing that? And you see a big number like that. It's like, wow, you have to cut some corners, right?
Yeah.
Just intrinsically. Not that
Mhm.
that's what we were doing. And I think what we have been doing is delivering, at least to a large degree, what you just laid out.
Yeah.
Right.
So
To me, it's, oh, go ahead.
no, you're good.
To me, it just reflects, unfortunately, and we'll get into this in a second, of like, what is the common stigma of CrossFit? And that is like, when people go to gyms, they think they're going to see these like, well, some gyms, but chiseled, just like muscle ups everywhere, people doing handstand walks, people snatching 300 pounds. And that happens, and it's true. And those people deserve the same amount of fitness as like grandma and grandpa. But if you go to a regular average just neighborhood CrossFit gym, you're gonna see everybody that you would see in a supermarket. And so from my perspective, and I'm sure you guys would agree, 99% of the time when someone comes in for the first time, they don't even know like where they're going or what they can accomplish until they're a year, 2 years in, and they're living this life that so many of them never even knew that they were even capable of, a year prior, when they didn't even think they'd ever walk in the gym, first of all, and let alone get a rope climb. So that trickles down to, where we really want to make the impact, and that mission statement lives by that, of like, well, if you're now the mother and the father of the family are living a life they never knew existed, then that means those kids are being affected by that direct change. That's when you really impact communities and families. So that's kind of like summing up that really deep statement in a whole. So yeah.
Yeah. And to get back into CrossFit's phenomenal. We are a CrossFit affiliate. We are a CrossFit gym. With that being said, though, we have seen there's some holes. There's some holes that we are trying to fill, and have kind of come to a much better place of how to fill those holes and make people successful. So going through that, we kind of see that there's kind of three main pillars to our health journey, and to kind of really sum it up is nutrition, there's fitness, and there's recovery. And that fitness model, that fitness idea could be mental fitness or physical fitness. It doesn't matter. It kind of coincides. But without one of those, you're slightly lost, right? You're not hitting where you could actually go. So when we bring people in, and
Right.
all of our current members, we've done some of this stuff with you guys. We've dialed it in even further to really set and write down your goals of what you want, why you want it, and then how we're going to actually step by step get there. And I think everybody coming into the gym has some sort of goal, whether they realize it or not. Kind of like what you were pointing out, Amy, is some people just don't even know what they're capable of, and that's to live the life you never knew existed. And we are here to not just get people in shape, but give them that opportunity, that mindset of like, wow, I can do a lot more. I can be a lot more. And so that is kind of where we're transitioning into of we have a completely different onboarding process, absolutely different than what we did before. It's 10 times more stringent and diligent than what we've ever done. And some of you guys have kind of experienced this. So that process is now, when someone comes in, it's a questionnaire. It's a questionnaire of whether they have never done CrossFit. Easy question, right? If they have done CrossFit, cool. If they haven't, cool. If they're in the middle there, they've only done it for like 3 to 6 months, cool. We've got different protocol for each of those. From there, it dives into, do they have implanted medical devices? Do they have pre-existing injuries?
Surgeries, yeah.
Do they have an active job or a static job where they sit at a desk all day? Those are big differences. So we ask a lot of questions to sum up some knowledge of how we should onboard these people into classes. From there, those people now are taken through their custom amount of one-on-one based on those answers to make sure that they are set up for success coming into the classes. CrossFit, I'm sure everyone has heard, I don't want to get injured, or I don't want to, CrossFit, I need to get in shape to do CrossFit. Both of those are horrible stigmas. And we're trying to crush those basically by delivering this in a much different way than the standard CrossFit gym, but in a successful way. And so far, if you guys can agree, I mean, it's been exponentially through the roof better.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Like the athlete feels, there's nothing better than the athlete feeling confident, and then you as a coach knowing you're sending them off and you're like, they are ready. Because before, with the methods that we've used to onboard people, and this is us saying that, we do make mistakes as a business and as coaches of like, I get, there's no way that someone in 4 classes with all kinds of pre-existing conditions can be ready for CrossFit. There's just, in my opinion, there's just no way. So, and that was kind of like the old way. So, I mean, some places even do it in a weekend or, an hour. They'll come in and just run into the things. But that was kind of the old way of doing things. And this way is they're 100% ready at the end.
Yeah. And
most of the time.
and not even, I would say they're 100% ready to enter into classes, but it's
right.
it's a constant improvement upon that. So that's where we kind of transition into the experience of what we see with our current members that haven't gone through the same process. We've been doing the active life assessments to really dial in for you specifically as a member and the coaching staff to figure out, all right, well, I have this limitation in this area because of this, not that. You're sitting there doing, my wife, for example, was doing banded distractions on her ankle because she thought she had limited ankle range of motion. That wasn't it at all. It's 100% her hips. So she was just wasting her time. So we're trying to be efficient and effective in what we're teaching and what we're doing. And that coincides with the assessments, that coincides with the onboarding process. And that onboarding process continues on to the life at Burg now. And that's where go ahead.
Can I ask you a question really fast? Just to I feel like, as Larry would say, can we unpack that really quick? There's a couple of things that you touched on that I want to make a bigger kind of deal than they were. So you mentioned that when someone comes in, and this has been the past, pre-corona, 2-3 months before that, new member comes in, or your friend comes in, or your sister or your brother comes in, they now sit down for basically like, we want to get to know you. We want to know, we take you through those questions that you just mentioned. Now, that's not the only testing they go through. So can you kind of expand upon the assessments they go through after they've already answered those questions as far as learning more about their body?
Yeah, so I'll let Jason kind of explain that a little bit more. We talk to people about load versus capacity, and we go through these assessments. And so,
yeah,
ahead, man.
So I guess I'll answer that question in just a second. But just to take a step back as a part of the onboarding process, and even every time we have one of these sessions with a new customer, that's actually like 45 minutes to an hour of us like assessing how they move and us learning about them and their bodies and their limitations. So it gives us a whole lot more knowledge as far as what they can or can't do. And it also gives us additional time to educate the client as far as what they can or can't do, or what they should be doing once we kind of release them into class. So going back to more or less like where we have been, I would say in the last 2 years. So we've worked with like a bunch of a bunch of mentors and industry leaders, not just one company, but several different mentors. And what we've learned from them over the years is what we are now finally ready to start fully implementing. And we're starting to beta test that. Going back to Amy's original question, as far as like what the assessment looks like, we actually put each client, I think there are, like 12 different individual movement assessments that we do that are going to help us identify exactly where those deficiencies lie in the body. So like Jen, Tony's wife, was a perfect example. She thought her ankles were tight. Been doing, I don't know how long she was doing that for, but obviously wasting her time. But if we had put her through that assessment prior to doing that, she would have known right then and there she needs to be working on her hip mobility and her hip functionality opposed to her ankles. So really it's about educating us and then also educating the client and then giving them the right protocol of movements to improve those deficiencies or imbalances. The next piece of that is educating the customer or the member about managing their load and their specific capacity. So one big issue with CrossFit is that we are constantly, I wouldn't say we are constantly doing this, but the stigma is, and the old stigma is, go as intense as you possibly can for that 35, 25 minutes that you're actually working out in class. So you are going right up to that threshold of your individual capacity, or sometimes going past that. Once we go past what your body can handle, that's where pain sits in and or injury. So if you go through the movement assessment and you know that you have deficiencies in your body, and then on top of that, you are maximizing out the load that you're putting or the stress you're putting on your body, it is a recipe for injury. And
Can
so
you give an example of that? Like, for example, like, let's say I have limited ankle problems, and give an example of like a workout where you, as a novice athlete, if we didn't go through this process, you would do the workout.
Yeah, let me take that real quick. I think the most common one is shoulders and the ability to have range of motion overhead with shoulders, guys specifically, and ego gets in the way very quickly. And we do overhead stuff, we do handstand push-ups, like all of that requires exponentially fluid range of motion overhead for pressing and that position in your handstand push-up. And guys a lot of times don't have it. So you're forcing yourself into a position that your body isn't actually able to go in. And what happens? That joint is compromised, and then it automatically compromises other joints and areas to work exponentially harder and not how they're fluidly supposed to work. So what does that lead to? That can lead to injury. And that's where we're trying to make that awareness extremely prevalent and diligent, not only in just our coaching, but from the ground up. Like people should be able to do these things, but the road to getting there is different for every individual.
Right.
And that's why we're changing this process so much, because we've seen it, people coming off of foundations or people coming in and out of different abilities and skill levels and pushing that threshold a little too soon. And to add to that load capacity too much to where then they have an injury. And it's like, I try to use the analogy of, all right, you go to a doctor and he's like, hey, here's your antibiotics. You need to take the entire bottle. You take, there's 12 doses. You take
minimal effective dose.
Yeah. You take three pills and you feel fine. You know, I feel better. And then 2 weeks later it comes back and you go to the doctor. He's like, what, did you follow this and that? He's like, well, no. Well, no shit. It didn't work because you didn't follow what I told you to do. So we're trying to do the same thing in a lot of realms like that. That's what we're doing as a physical health and fitness studio.
Right. And I think the other pillar or process of that is teaching people how to recover properly too, right? And how that's going to impact them later on down the week. If they come in on Monday and they just go super hard for 3 days in a row, every day that they come in, they push their body, that daily threshold of what they can handle gets diminished. And then we throw in other things, other factors of like maybe they didn't sleep well the night before. They've been super stressed out because of, the wife, the girlfriend, the kids, the job, the dog, whatever, right? All that plays into. Those are all stress factors that play into what you can handle on a daily basis. And a lot of people don't understand that. And obviously that's from a 10,000 foot level, but just bringing those types of, I guess, little nuggets of knowledge, if you will, to the members, going to help prevent those injuries.
Yeah, build up. It coincides with what we just went through. You know, everyone's been off or out of the gym for almost 2 months. And yes, we were programming and doing things, but I think everyone, or a large majority from what we've talked to, including myself, have not been sticking to their fitness route like they have before, especially in pull-ups, which is hence a perfect example of why we're not jumping into Murph next Monday. You know, that would be not a smart move. Let's just put it that way.
Hello, Rhabdo.
Yeah. So there's that process of why we're doing these things. And that's kind of into our onboarding process, but we have to relay this into our current member base. We have to relay it to all the people that are already here. And so that process has been reevaluated, and we're currently in a quote unquote beta test phase where we're putting a manageable enough amount of people through a very stringent goal session where you're diving into the goals. You know, somebody says, well, I want to lose like 15 to 20 pounds. Well, is it 15? Is it 17 and a half? Is it 20? And why is it that much weight? What is that going to do? Is it going to build confidence in your life in other areas? Are you getting ready for a wedding that you want to fit in this specific dress size? Have you been at that weight prior to and you felt really good then? Is it just, you know, like what is the real why to that, and dialing that in, helping people create very stringent and tactful goals. And then from that goal session, then we're going into a one-on-one, and that one-on-one is dialed in specifically to those goals. For one, it might be in relation to the assessments, movement abilities, strength, flexibility, balance issues, strength balance issues, or whatever. It's customized to that person. And after that, those people are getting 30 days of individual design homework per se, where they would do that either as a precursor to the workout, where they would prime the body and the joints and the ligaments getting ready for their workouts, or it could be afterwards as accessory strength items or accessory whatever. Or in some cases, it might be in conjunction with the skill work. So you might not do the skill work of class specifically because it's a hindrance to what your goals and abilities are. And we're going to sub in what that coach has delivered to you so you can hit that goal and stay on track. So if range of motion isn't there for handstand push-ups, we're probably not going to do that in class. We're going to do something a little bit different. And that coach that you have is going to deliver that to you. So that's kind of the highest tier of what we're looking at. But again, going into, it's kind of a floating ladder, right? So everyone's at different fitness levels. Everyone does different setups for the workout depending on their limitations, their physical ability, their age, whatever. I mean, all that's kind of categorized and summed up in one way. So from there, if you're more or less not needing individual design work and you're just needing to lose some weight or lean out or build muscle, and that's a primary goal of yours, then you're going to go into nutrition. Like that's the route that you've got to go to hit that goal. And it would be unethical of us to ignore that. Be like, no, you can do this and that, and it'll be fine. You know, when we know we know better, right? We know better as a fitness professionals of Burg, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So that's kind of like a high level tier of combining those three factors, either one-on-one personal training, one-on-one nutrition, or individual design work to customize to your abilities and needs. And then from there, it kind of tiers up or down, or down, I guess. Either continuing on with that one-on-one PT session once a month, or nutrition monthly, or individual design work monthly, kind of separating those out to whatever is specific for you and your needs and goals. And then the very lowest level to that is going to be where we're just going to track you every 90 days. So every 90 days, if your goal is to stay on the weight gain, muscle gain challenge, or to lean out, or just to stay at a consistent pace, you're going to work with Sarah or one of the nutrition coaches one month out of those 90 days. If it's more of a physical, like I need to be checked in, I've been working on my snatch game and I want to build that weight and technique up, and you've kind of got the base for being able to snatch correctly. We've ethically been able to watch you and deliver the process so you can actually do it from a distance, and we can be confident that you're able to do it on your own without, throwing yourself into an injury area. Then that 90-day mark, we're going to check in and do a one-on-one with you. getting into that specifically, if you've hit that goal, if you're on the right track for it, and if not, we're going to help you get to that outcome. Did I sum that up for you guys? All right. Is there anything you guys want to specifically add to that?
No, I just want to talk about the reasoning why we're like maybe a little bit more details as far as the traditional like CrossFit class versus like why. So like you mentioned that we know better. So like what have we found through the 7 years that you've been now owning a CrossFit gym, now 3, and yourself, Jason, now included in that? Like what have you found? Like why is this a better way? And then I also want to talk about like why the, you know, a lot of times this can be looked at as like a hindrance. So some people can feel like this is holding them back when in reality it's, you know, preventing injuries, and talk about like how, you know, we all handle every cancellation or every hold, and a lot of it is injuries. A lot of it is my shoulder's been hurting for 6 months. I just can't run. Like I don't want to, et cetera, et cetera. So like, why is this such a better way, I guess, in what you've seen in your experience?
Yeah. So those are the kind of the limiting factors in CrossFit, I think, of how CrossFit doesn't deliver the utmost highest level of fitness and health of what we need.
Right.
So
I guess, I'll just jump in.
Good.
I don't know, when I hear, like, I guess more or less, basically what you're getting at is like some objection, right? From, I hate to use that word, but let's just say people that have been doing CrossFit, some of like the old OG people that have been doing this for like 10 plus years. And they're like, hey man, I just want to come in here and get a sweat on and get out. But maybe they're that person that has that shoulder pain. They've had it for 6 months, right? And maybe there's a specific skill that they want to get to, but it's an advanced skill. But they're probably never going to get to that advanced skill unless they take care of that issue. And I guess the analogy that I always use is like, and I'm not in construction, but like building a house. So if you know you have a faulty foundation and it needs to be repaired, why would you build a second story on top of the house you already have, right? It's like, let's go back, let's do it correctly. Let's identify really what is limiting you, build that up, and then we move on to the next layers.
Right.
And it's just, for us, we should have recognized that earlier. If we missed it, that's on us. But now we've learned that over the years, and now we have the right tools in place by educating ourselves to go ahead and do it.
Not only learned it, but we've tested it. That's where this comes down to. Like, this isn't just like a shot in the dark of, hey, let's do this because it sounds really sexy and pretty. We've been testing this, and we're continuing to test it with individuals to see what ethically makes sense financially and skillfully for all of our members. Because people, what I've seen, to get back to your main question, what I've seen is people come in and come out, and we're not trying to just put a number on your head. Again, going back to our mission statement and why we've changed it and dialed it in, we want motivated people in here, but it comes down to accountability largely for a lot of people. I would say 80-90%. And if you think you're not in that accountability range, think about what we just went through. Think about COVID and how much you worked out comparatively when you had the gym open. Just by having the doors open creates a level of accountability. Like, well, it's open, I need to go. My friends are going, I need to go. I want to be at that in that environment because it's motivating for me. That's accountability to some degree. So this is building that accountability to a level that is successful for anyone specifically, depending on how much accountability you really need. So that's why we have those tiered systems. Some people want to go to the CrossFit Games. All right, we got to really dial that in. That's going to be a very specific, long process, and it's going to take a lot of one-on-one stuff going into that. Some people just want to get a rope climb. Some people just want to feel more confident throughout the day. Some people just want to make it in gym 3 times a week.
Right.
All of that is relevant. It's just in different tiers. All of it's relevant. So I guess that's where we've seen an area missing there. And some people will, I guess, why do people go to a $10 a month gym? Why do people sign up for that? It's a rhetorical question, but
I was like, do you really want me to answer that question?
I was like, I'll tell you if you want to know.
they do that because they feel good about getting a gym membership, and then they sign up. But what do we all know about that? We know that that's not something that's successful for 99% of the population.
Right. Well, statistically, there's no way that they could even provide a service anyway, even if they did have everybody show up.
There's zero
based off of the
service.
mission.
Yeah, there's zero service. And the only service you could get is if you go in there and you sign up with a personal trainer. But the accountability is not there. The direction's not there. The tools are there, just like everyone's realized during COVID. Like, you have the tools. If you want to go buy and set up a home gym, sure, go do it. That's phenomenal. If you have the motivation to utilize it and to do that. And I think after this, a lot more people have home gyms, which is awesome. I'm not downgrading home gyms. I think that's awesome. Having the ability to do it at your house is phenomenal. But having that direction and that coaching and that camaraderie and that mental fortitude, that the mental health aspect of coming into the classes and seeing how that changes you in and out is not there with a home gym. And also, I think most people consider their home gym, not all obviously, but most people that have a home gym don't utilize it like they would if they came at a membership. So accountability is kind of what it comes down to. And that accountability delivers results through what we're doing, through personal training, nutrition, or individual design work to keep people from getting injured, being proactive versus reactive. We are able to be reactive with anyone that does have limitations and injuries, and to also deliver the goals that people want and expect out of us. Kind of that same thing of like, if you want to get rid of that cold that with your antibiotics, like I was saying with the doctor, you take the minimum effective dose, but the full effective dose. You're going to follow the directions.
Yeah.
So you got a headache, the active life analogy, you got a headache, you're not taking the whole bottle of aspirin, you're not taking one, you're going to take the 2 to 4, depending on the severity of it, right? To make sure that it's handled. So yeah, we know a better way. And if we don't do something about what we're doing and we know how to do it, then why are we even here?
Right.
That's the question.
Right.
Yeah. So just going back on not only just the education piece of what we've done through mentorships and that sort of thing, but just what we've seen here in the gym. And I know personally the people that have done the individual design, the personalized programming, and have done the personal training with me, the results just speak for themselves. And I don't want to sound cocky or whatever, but that is like some of the testimonials that we've seen here. It's like, okay, that's great. How do we bring this out to everybody, and that.
All right, so we got cut out real quick, but basically we're going to jump right back on where Jason was talking. He was basically explaining the process of what he's seen, specifically within the members that he's worked with. So yeah.
So, geez, I don't know. I guess I've been doing the ID and personal programming and personal training, creating these packages well before implementing this. And the people that I have worked with that have kind of done the full spectrum of things, that includes the nutrition, the ID, and personal training, so the accountability piece, all reach their goals, in my opinion, exponentially faster and safer than what they could have done on their own by just attending the normal classes that we have to offer. And not that they wouldn't have got there. It's just that without having the specific programming, building the foundation, and then giving the exact exercises to do, and then the accountability check-ins, the results speak for themselves. Not to be salesy, but it's just what we've actually seen in the gym is aligned with what we are hearing from all the experts in the industry.
Right. And this isn't, what he's talking about, that's the highest level. And we're basically starting off, like I said, with this beta group. And then eventually all of our existing members are going to go through this process completely for free, 30 days, to get a taste of what it can kind of look like. And again, to test further to see how this actually works, make sure that this works well. And then from there, again, everyone's on different levels. Some people are like, well, I don't want PT, or I don't want ID. I want nutrition. Awesome. You can do that. And on those different kind of tiers of where you fit in. But I think we can all agree, if you really think back on it, the CrossFit classes are not going anywhere. That is tried and true. It's a part of who we are and what we are. It works. It is phenomenal. That's why I have CrossFit gyms. It's the number one fitness model out there. This is the stuff that we've seen missing that we can blend in and make exponentially better. So everyone's on different levels to that, depending
Yeah,
on
I'm
your
kind of
needs.
jealous. I'm kind of jealous of everybody getting this CrossFit experience. And, we all started like, yeah, sure, throw a barbell over your head. You'll be fine.
But everyone can benefit from some one-on-one. Everyone can. I think we can all
Absolutely.
agree on that. And if you didn't believe in that, you probably wouldn't be at a CrossFit gym, and you'd probably be doing it out of your garage, that is fine. That is fine. That is if you're staying in some sort of physical like exercise routine, that's phenomenal. But we want to crush people's goals. We want to help them live the life that they never knew existed.
Yeah.
That is Berg's goal, and to live it through those core values.
I think that for what CrossFit delivers, and, it's changed my life. Like personally, I'm literally in the career, like it's my career now, but it's just the other stigma that we hear a lot is being compared to, which just what you just said, Tony, of like, if you're doing anything, that's great, like yoga, whatever. If you're like walking your dog 3 miles a day, that's awesome. But CrossFit, in my opinion, or something very similar, gives so much more than just like your workout. I mean, like you can prevent injuries through this new onboarding system long before they arise. And I think that's what I've seen in the gym with the people that I've had experience with, is like, it's not a problem till it's a problem. And then when it's an issue, how do you resolve it? And that is why we are here. We're coaches. We want to be your coach. We want to help you. And it's hard to compare that to like, not bashing anyone else, but like an Orange Theory or something like that. This is truly a sport, and we want you to be better at the sport, mostly outside of the gym. So that way you can be a better human being. Because I promise you, I have 2-3 members that are over 70, and they could give two craps about how much their snatch is. When you get to be that age, your priorities are so different, and that's playing the long game. And that's what our goals are as coaches, and where we're moving forward as far as our vision goes.
Yeah. And going in line with that, one last thing, we don't want to limit people's abilities either. We just want to direct people into the right avenues to be able to create the abilities, the endless opportunities of abilities. So if you come in and you want to do muscle ups, we're not going away from those, but we're going to set you up for success in getting muscle ups. We're not just going to get you on there once your abilities are semi there. You can do a few good sets of pull-ups. All right, now I think you got the strength. Let's throw you up on the muscle up rings. That's not the correct process. If your range of motion, let's say, is not there in your shoulders, what happens when you drop out of the rings from the top? Well, you're swinging
Right.
those rings. You're just putting yourself in an arm bar, basically, with somebody. So anyway, that's hopefully that clears things up. Hopefully people can listen to this, and if you guys have any questions, direct it to one of us or any of the coaches on staff. We want to deliver this as successfully as possible. If you guys have different ideas or thoughts on that, please, you can email us at info@Burg CrossFit or talk to us in person. We geek out about this stuff. We want to talk to you guys about it. We want to make sure everyone has a successful path moving forward. Cool.
I agree.
All right. Thank you guys. Hopefully it's not too much of a glitch when we switch back in, but that's the end of it. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Show, produced by Whether you're local to one of our locations or just love what we do, we would love to invite you to check out our in-house and digital offerings over on our website at www.burgcrossfit.com. If you feel stuck on a particular movement or have no idea what the heck a jerk is, definitely check us out on our movement library over on our YouTube channels, found at each one of our corresponding locations at Burg CrossFit, Burg CrossFit North, or Burg CrossFit Sunbury. And we'll see you next time.